Well, hey there, Arrow fans. Welcome to the Arrow After Show here on the Stream.TV Fan Show Network. We are so glad you've tuned in with us to talk about all things Arrow. We'll get to who I am in a second. First, I want to introduce the ladies who are with me, starting over here on my left.
Hey everybody, it's Ann Campea. I've missed this cozy chair. I've missed you guys. I'm ready to hood up and talk about Arrow.
And over here on my right.
Hey everybody, I'm Kaori Takee. I am so happy to be back and I'm so excited about this episode.
And who am I? I'm the justice you can't run from! But we'll get to that bit of stupidness in a little bit. Well, the break is finally over. I'm sorry, am I not wearing enough buckles to say that? Is that the problem?
Wow.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
I missed you, John.
It's so good to be back. Thankfully, we've had mid-season breaks for shows before that felt like forever. This wasn't that long of a mid-season break, which is great. Still too long to be away from Arrow. This is what we're going to do tonight, guys. We're going to talk about some of the issues of the show in general. We're going to talk about some of the things that we liked about the episode. We're going to go into some of the things we thought were weak about the episode. But then the most important part of the show is when we throw it over to you guys. We want you to start tweeting into us your thoughts, comments, or questions using the hashtag, where you can see right here, Arrow After Show. So tweet into us using the hashtag Arrow After Show. And Ann's going to be keeping her eye on the Twitter stream. And in the second half of the show, we're just going to be taking your guys' stuff and what you guys want to talk. And I already see a bunch of you guys already tweeting a lot of stuff. So that's great. So let's get started with some of the things we liked about tonight's episode. First of all, recap, we ended off on one hell of a mid-season finale cliffhanger. Not really a cliffhanger. He went over the cliff.
Literally.
With Al Ghul killing Oliver Queen. Such a WTF moment. Amazing mid-season finale. Great way to end it. And so now we come into, well, where are they going to go from here? None of us believed that Stephen Amell was now finished with Arrow. And, oh, nice run, Stephen Amell. And so now we're going to rename the show Canary. None of us thought that. But still, it was a great way to leave it off. So, Ann, let's start with you. What are some of the things that you liked about tonight's first, back for the second half of the season, tonight's episode?
I'm going to start off with what I'm labeling the new Arrow Trinity while Oliver is still dead, which is, Diggle and Roy and Felicity, and how they all were trying to work together and also trying to deal with the loss of Oliver. But I liked that we saw Diggle get to suit up, even though he still wasn't wearing a mask.
Yeah.
He did put on the Arrow suit at the beginning, which was really cool. And I think that actually goes back to our interview with Stephen when he told us that we would actually see Diggle in a costume at some point.
Yep.
So I think that's the point
lying.
he was talking about. So that was really cool. I love the interaction between the three of them. I thought, I was really worried coming into this episode without Oliver. How were they going to deal with that? How were they going to fill the time of this episode? And they really did a good job of sticking to the formula that works for them. And having now Diggle and Roy step up and have a lot of good action between them. And Felicity also helping out with, just being a badass and being smart and telling them what they need to do. And them just trying to deal as their own kind of unit while Oliver is gone. I like how that writers captured how the characters would cope with Oliver being gone, and the fact that the ladies weren't giving up hope. I like that Felicity and Laurel had that connection. They kind of looked at each other when Laurel walked in and they told her what had happened, and Laurel was like, no, he's not dead. And here's Felicity looking at her like, you were the last person I thought would react that way, but I'm finally glad to have somebody in this Arrow cave that has hope that Oliver is still alive. So I like that because, Diggle and Roy are kind of trying to be realistic about it. It's been 3 or 4 days. They think Oliver's dead. So I like all of the reaction. I like the tone of the episode. I like that they introduced Vinnie Jones as Brick. Perfect casting for that, I think. He's like so strong, and like Brick in the comics, he's impenetrable. So like the fact that this character is also doing the same, and that's a question I was going to pose to you guys, and you guys can answer it later, but is Brick metahuman? Because he got shot in the face and nothing happened, right?
Did he get shot in the face?
Yeah, he got shot in the forehead. He got shot in the forehead, which so wait a minute, you're impervious to bullets, but you can be pierced by an arrow?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Really
I'm sure they have
stuff.
an explanation for that.
But I do like that we have set up now Brick, who is going to be kind of the big bad on top of Meryln and everybody else that's there, but he will kind of be that foe for the rest of the season, which we didn't really have that in the beginning of the season. So that's really good for me. I like that we have somebody that we're looking forward to getting back at, getting revenge for, at. And I liked Laurel as the DA.
Oh, I thought you were going to say as the canary.
Laurel as the district attorney, doing her job. She knows how to be a DA well. I do have negative as well. I'm not going to say, I'll wait till we get to the negatives. But Laurel, in her role, I like her that way. She's strong. She knows she's confident in court. She knows what she's doing. She puts away the bad guys the way that she should be as a DA, not as the canary. So I like that as well. And then I just like the interaction with Merlyn the whole time. He was kind of in and out of the episode, fluid, going into the cave, talking to the new Arrow Trinity or whatever, talking to Thea, having that fight scene with Thea. He was just, in the entire episode, but not kind of taking over it. And all of his lines to me were super funny, but also very, poignant and strong, the way that Merlyn should be, the way that his character captures that presence. So he made me laugh a lot, too. I don't know if you guys caught a lot of the lines that he said in this episode, but he cracked me up the whole time as well. So I love the episode. I like that it was really formulaic. I like that we're back, and they didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, I was it was two things for me. I was really excited because Arrow's back. Very nervous because, as I've pinned this, it is the beginning of the Laurel apocalypse, when Laurel brings an end to all things good and decent in the world. But this was a great episode. This was a great episode. And I'll start with where you ended off. Malcolm continues to win me over more and more and more as a big fan. The dude is just so slick and smooth and badass, and Barrowman just portrays him so well. I mean, and he had two real slick lines in this movie so much. Like when the group comes back down into the Arrow Cave and Malcolm's down there and Diggle pulls a gun. He says, please put that away. Not so much because the guns scare me, but because they annoy me. Like so badass. And then when the second time that he was waiting somewhere for somebody to show up in their own place, when Thea shows back up in her place and she throws a knife at him, she's like, I could have killed you. It's adorable that you think so.
Yeah.
That was such a great line. So I love seeing his presence there and all that kind of stuff. That was really good. I loved the fact that, look, and Stephen Amell will hate me for saying this because he is so fiercely loyal to his whole crew, and so he should be. But Stephen Amell is the force that carries this show. It's his charisma, it's the way he plays that character. It's not just Oliver Queen, it's Stephen Amell who makes that show go. It really is. Mm-hmm. But beyond Stephen, it's the Trinity. It's Diggle, Stephen, and Felicity, right? That's the Trinity that makes this thing work. And what I really liked, at least for the first, 3/4 of this episode, the writers fell back, since we didn't have the Oliver Queen character there, they fell back on their next strongest suit, which is Diggle and Felicity. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, this is the first episode I'm ever going to say this. There have been a couple episodes where I've said that Roy didn't bother me this episode. They're turning around. Roy didn't bother me. I liked Roy Harper in this episode.
I'm so happy you said that.
They actually, I feel for the first time in this series, they made Roy an integrated, functioning, three-dimensional, felt real character that still kind of knew his place.
Yep.
Like, he is not a part of the Trinity. He's not the head part. But he knew his place in it, and as such, he functioned really well. Even his interactions with Thea, I thought were more real and more concrete and more tangible than I've ever thought they were before in this show. So I really liked the way they used him. Vinnie Jones. So excited they brought him in. Yeah. Once again, not sure how a bullet bounces off him, but an arrow pieces him. Okay, well, I'm sure they'll get around to that at some point.
Metahuman?
There's a little, and I like how they introduce, because my first thought was, once they know Oliver's gone, you give up. You throw in the towel. And the writers knew that. So what do? Let's come up with something where there's now a threat going on in this city that threatens to undo all the good that that Oliver has done. And that one line that Diggle said when they were talking down in the Arrow Cave, and Diggle brings it up, he says, look, the 8 months that what Oliver has done, his legacy, and essentially, we are now fighting to preserve that. And that made it believable for me as a viewer of why you would then hang in there. Why Diggle and Roy would stay down in that cave. And at the same time, Felicity, they continue to prove why Felicity, I believe, is the strongest, most well-rounded female character in all of television right now. Because I love the fact that although you have Diggle and you have Arsenal, they all looked to her. You, without it being directly said, you got the feeling about who's in charge now. And it wasn't Diggle and it wasn't Roy. You felt like they were all looking to Felicity for their direction and where to go. And I love that they did that because it also felt very natural. It felt like that's the way it didn't feel forced. You know, kind of like, remember The Office? After Michael Scott left The Office, they made Bernard.
Andy.
Andy. They made Andy the new manager.
Yeah.
That felt so forced. There's no way they would have made that guy the manager, right? In this case, it just feels natural that you would naturally look to Felicity. So that was a really strong aspect too. So a lot of things I loved about this return. And the flashbacks in Hong Kong I have not been loving this season to this point. But understanding what the big final reveal in this episode was, you know, Oliver coming back to life, it made all the flashbacks totally make sense and totally not just make sense. Sometimes you can have things that make sense but that give no value. It brought value to the episode as well. So overall, fantastic show, fantastic episode. I was thrilled with it. Anyway, Kaori, some of the things you really dug about tonight's episode.
Doug, a lot of the things that you guys said, definitely just big ups to Roy Harper because my boy, he's grown up, he's doing good things, and he knows his place. And then Diggle, I liked that one comment where he said the suit is too tight. Basically,
Oh, that was good. That was a good line. Yeah.
Basically saying he's wearing straight up Oliver's suit.
He's bigger than Oliver. Yeah.
No mask.
So that was pretty funny.
But yeah, don't you think it would have been a good idea to wear a suit? Not if I want to move or breathe. That was a really good line.
And then you see the next scene, he's wearing a black suit. He's like, forget this.
Yeah, he's back to being Diggle.
I like that they had developed more of the history between Oliver Queen as well as Maceo. By the way, I realized his last name was Yamashiro, and Yamashiro in Japanese means white mountain, which I thought was pretty ironic. And I like that.
I'm bilingual.
I am trilingual.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Trilingual. That's right.
And then, no, I just want to let our fans know. And then also, I like the Ray Palmer situation where you kind of see him a little more aggressive than usual, which showed just how serious he is about his goal and his motivation. And I like the scenes between him and Felicity and how there's a little bit, now you see a little bit of tension between them, which works because there's so much going on in Felicity's mind, and now we see a little more in-depth of Ray, so I like that as well. Always a pleasure to see Malcolm. You guys really talked about that really well. Also, I can really appreciate like the scenery and just like the way the camera angles were when Roy was talking to Diggle and you see his suit in the background. It's just little things like that, little subtle things, or even when you see the scale of the mountain and the cliffs. I thought all of that was really cool. I really, really appreciate just everything about this episode in general and everything else you guys said.
Yeah, and one of the other things, I'm surprised that I didn't mention this earlier, but even though I knew, because I saw some leaked still shots and stuff like that a long time ago, that the guy dragging Oliver's body was Maceo. Even though I knew that, we were watching the episode and he's dragging the body and I'm just like, it's got to be Tommy. Please be Tommy. Please let that be Tommy dragging Oliver through the snow.
That would have been awesome sauce.
And that would have been so cool. Of course, it was very good the way it was. It was Maceo and we knew it was going to be him.
I kind of oddly expected because of the snow and the way it was a dark suit and he was dragging him through the snow that we would see him pull out a lightsaber with the little
crossing a lightsaber.
That would have been
crazy.
That would have been really, really cool. Anything else stand out that we forgot to mention? I'm glad you brought up Ray because, again, some people, and I can understand why. Some people see Ray as kind of like the ultimate creeper in Starling City.
Sometimes.
But I have always seen him as the best guy. Like, you talk about good guys. He is the best guy. Like, he's leveraging his whole fortune, all that kind of stuff. He's taking his heartbreak and his pain and trying to turn it into salvation for the city, utilizing his wealth and his power and all the things that he can do. Meanwhile, he's got this girl, Felicity, and he's so respectful of her. I think I want to propose that's part of the things that people find creepy about him is the fact that guys just aren't that good. And when you get a guy come along who is that good and that honorable and that pure of intention and all that kind of stuff, people find it creepy.
And I think that's what I liked about him, because in this episode, he kind of backfired at her, you know?
Yes, but that's the thing, when he backfired at her, he still put in the context of, like, he could have just backlashed at her and said, you don't get to talk about her, you don't get to say that.
Yeah.
But first he said, look, I can see you're upset, and we can talk about that if you want to. But you don't get to say that, and you don't get to talk about it. So even while he's like pushing back,
That's a good scene.
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's like really, really nice about it. So I'm really excited to see where they go. Now we've all read the rumors that CW might be looking at doing a spin-off show with Ray, which I don't have any feelings about at this point, because at this point Ray has been glorified cameos in every episode.
Yeah.
We haven't got enough into him for me to feel like, yes, this would make a great show, or no, this wouldn't make a great show.
I would love to see a Ray Palmer-centric episode to see how that works
Yeah,
out.
or two. It would be really nice if they did something like that.
Well,
So,
and I like that it's been kind of a slow burn with Ray, just
Yes.
because there's so many other characters that have so much more story going on, that I like how slowly the pace is of them exposing him. You know, we just recently found out about him having a wife or fiance?
Fiancé,
So
yeah.
I like just the trickles of Ray, and like Corey said, I would love a Ray-centric episode too.
It's just going to be interesting how that works out when that happens, if and when that happens, because Felicity is kind of his rock too at this point. So she is in the between two heroes. How is she going to handle that? Trying to take care of two men that she care about.
That's why she was pleading with him tonight. She's like, "Don't put me in
one's
this
dead.
position again."
Well,
well, as far as she's concerned,
Yeah.
one guy's dead.
well,
All
she
right.
quit Arrow too. She's like, I quit.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm done. But you know what? That happened in an emotionally believable way. That yes, she would feel that way.
Sure.
Yes, Oliver died against. Remember, she protested him leaving to go and fight Al Ghul. She protested it, and he went, and now he's dead. And now she sees the new guy in her life, starting off down that same path, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
She, like, within 3 months, and I'm glad they reminded us about this in the show, she just saw Sarah die a few months ago. She's gone. She saw her own mother's life at risk not too long ago in an episode earlier. Now Oliver, the seemingly invincible one of the group, is dead. And she's like, no, I'm not going to have you die, and I'm not going to have you die, so I'm out of here because I'm not going to help you die. And then she gives the same speech basically to Ray, like, you can go out and do that, but I'm not going to help you do it.
Yeah.
And without compromising the integrity of her intelligence or her strength, they made her emotionally three-dimensional and deal with it as a real human being, and I love the way they did that. I thought it was great. Okay, well, let's get into the negatives. Before we get into the negatives, just because, we're all friends here, I got to do something really cool today. I just wanted to share this with you a little bit. But in my other life, when I'm not watching Arrow, I do a lot of movie stuff. I run all the stuff for AMC. And as a part of that, I'm a big sports fan. Massive, massive sports fan. Now, I'm not a huge boxing fan, but by far my favorite boxer in the world is the best boxer in the world. His name is Manny Pacquiao. And today, we got to go to his house
Yeah.
and sit down and talk with Manny Pacquiao. So if we got that picture in there, there's a picture of me earlier today. If you're wondering, John, what is that shirt you're wearing? That is traditional Filipino formal wear. It's called a barong. So I decided to wear that to Manny's house. Since he's,
Fancy. Why didn't you wear that on the show tonight?
oh yeah, maybe I should have
that's
worn that
true.
tonight too. That's a lot of fun. Okay, so now let's get on with the negatives of the episode. Corey, let's start over with you on the negatives. So what are the things that didn't work so well with you? Even though tonight's episode was great, what are some things that could have been better?
There's always slightly cheesy stuff for me. For example, when Thea had that conversation with Roy and she says, I know you're the Red Hood. I can tell that it's you. So could you talk to the Green Arrow?
Yeah.
I was thinking, so you can tell that Roy is Red Arrow, but you can't tell that the Green Arrow is your brother and you were in face-to-face combat with him. I thought that was kind of just didn't work for me. What else? There was really not much I didn't like. I love Malcolm, but I didn't like how he just brought back the sword. Wouldn't it be really dangerous for him to go back there, knowing that he's in Roz's territory. I just thought that was kind of weird.
Well, the only reason, see, I thought about that at first, right?
Yeah.
But the only reason I thought, it's probably okay, is that probably the only time they would go there was when there was a Mortal Kombat challenge, which apparently, according to Al Ghul, very rarely happened. So he probably thought that might have been one of the safest places in the world to go. I don't know. I'm just pulling that out of thin air.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling that. And also, when Laurel comes into the cave and everyone's gone, and she looks at the table and there's a blonde wig and there's everything placed there for her.
They put their costumes, costumes they wear every day, they hang them up nicely and put them in glass cases.
Yeah.
Sarah's wig and everything, let's lay it all out on the table and just leave it all over
Like
the place.
being at a store.
Yeah,
I'll take the wig. I'll take one of these little scream things.
It was just little stuff like that that I was just like, I don't know about that yet. That's just little stuff.
Yeah, that was a little thing.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I thought, well, I mean, there were a few things. Yes, the interaction with Roy a bit, although I like the interaction itself. They just had to remind us again that, come on, at this point she would have figured out who the Green Arrow is. I mean, come on, let's be real here. But okay, they want us to look past that. Yes, everything laying out, the wig, the screamers, the mask, all that kind of stuff. Okay, yeah, that's there too. That's pretty good. You got me on that one. What was surprising, I don't know if this is a bad thing or not, but I'll throw it into this part anyway. No Lazarus Pit. We all just assumed, and myself included, we all just assumed, well, he's dead at the hands of the League of Assassins and Al Ghul. And they've already mentioned, Al Ghul's already suggested, I've been fighting people for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, well, obviously there's something funny going on here. Lazarus Pit, right? Lazarus Pit. So when he's dragging the body, Messu is dragging the body through, we assume he's taking him to the Great Lazarus Pit. No, it's, what's his wife's? Tetsu?
Yeah.
Takes her to her, and apparently she's some crazy witch in the wilderness. I will bring him back to life. Okay, cool. But I was really expecting a Lazarus Pit, and we didn't get it. And maybe this will be better than the Lazarus Pit. I just know that it just stood out to me as I was a little disappointed.
What can be better than a Lazarus
I know, I was kind of sitting there with my Lazarus Pit flag, ready for the Lazarus Pit to show up. And then, no Lazarus Pit. I mean, it's like, okay. So I was going to say something, but I thought better and decided not to say it. So, and then, of course.
Oh, no.
Say it.
Here we go.
Who are you? I'm the justice you can't run from. What? What? Did that really just come out of your stupid mouth? I'm the justice you can't run from. What's that? I can't hear you over the jangling of your buckles. Jangle, jangle, jangle. And then Anne pointed out to me in the car. It's like, so after Laurel goes down to the Arrow Cave and finds the wig and finds the mask, apparently she then decided to run to Best Buy, or not, maybe not Best Buy, Target, Home Depot, buy a bag of 40 buckles, take them back to the Arrow Cave, sew them into Sarah's canary suit. Then in 5 minutes or less, she put on a YouTube video of how to use a bow staff, and then ran out to where this big new crime syndicate thing was being formed, and her brilliant first words are, I'm the justice you can't run from. Wah! I'm like, oh God. Okay, sorry. Okay, so here's the thing that drives me a little bit nuts. And I'm not gonna go off on a long thing here. I'm not gonna go off on a long thing. But the one thing that does drive me a little bit nuts is that up to this point in this series, this group of writers has given us, not since Joss Whedon, have a team of writers given us such a great set of, once again, strong, intelligent, multidimensional, emotionally characters. We have had Moira Queen, we've had Sarah, we have Felicity, and then we have Laurel. And it's just, you have this habit of, let's develop these amazingly incredible female characters and let's kill them off. And let's take one that has a little bit of promise and potential and sin and just inexplicably make her disappear. But let's start to put some of the weight of the show on the biggest joke of a character we've created yet in Laurel. But that being aside, I will say this, though. I agree with you. The first 3/4 of the show, when she was just in her role as the DA, trying to play her part in the larger crime-fighting scheme, I was getting back to my feelings about her in the first half of the first season. I'm like, this is working. This is working. And then Buckle Lady showed up. So anyway, and what are some of the things that maybe didn't work for you about this episode?
I'll just go off of what you're talking about with Laurel. I don't know how to feel about that yet. You know, it's just such a flash of an introduction for her. Obviously, I didn't like that she already had this suit. You know, it wasn't exactly Sarah's suit either. Like you said, she tailored it or manufactured it before she put it on, which I thought was really strange. So if she had just stolen all of Sarah's stuff, then why does it have all this new stuff on it? Anyways.
Oh, if I can say this, if that episode ended, because remember, I was into what they were doing with the Laurel character up to that point. If that episode ended with her jumping out from behind a car, using Sarah's device, and it knocked a couple of people out, and you just see her kind of looking around and then run off somewhere, I would have gone, oh, okay, Buckle Lady is still ridiculous. But they had to just slam this stamp on it with, I'm the justice you can't run from. But if they had just done that without the stupid line and without the extra little floral she did, I would have gone, okay, so I'm still not happy they're doing this, but this is at least a very easy segue into what they might want to do next. I just felt like the line was a little over the top.
Well, the thing I'm glad about with them showing her in the canary suit is they didn't show her in the canary suit and then starting to do martial arts and knows how to kick all this ass already, right?
No, that comes next week.
She used this stick or whatever. She hit somebody in the head. She probably would have done that with the suit on or without the suit on.
Yeah.
You could do that. So I'm happy that they didn't already throw her into this like a black belt karate master, whatever. That's fine. I'm even okay with her wearing the suit and all of Sarah's stuff. Cool, whatever. She's trying to pay homage to her sister. I don't know what she's... I'm just conflicted because in the first half of the episode, she did so well as Laurel, the DA.
Yeah.
She did her job. She put people away. Why does she still continue to want to be Canary? I know she wants to pay respect to her sister and get revenge, but doesn't she see she could do that the intelligent way, the way that she knows how to?
See, that's something I kind of disagree with. I don't even see her that great as a DA. Well, you guys know that I've never been a Laurel fan in general, and there's something about that character that just gotten stale, and there was a moment when it got better, and now it's just the same thing again. So I don't know what to do with her. I don't even like the outfit, the canary outfit itself.
No.
But I think it's important to say this too. And look, if you follow me on social media, you know I like to have a lot of fun with how much I don't like the Laurel character. I have a lot of fun with it on social media. But it's the same thing with me in movies. Even if I think a movie looks awful and looks terrible, I'll say it looks awful and it looks terrible. But what you have to do then as a film critic, at any rate, and I'll say how this ties into Arrow, is that take everything you think about what this movie will be. But then when it's time to sit down and watch the movie, you got to take that and leave it at the door. Then just don't turn your brain off before you go in to see the movie. But once it's time to see the movie, take all those preconceived notions, leave them at the door, and then let the movie speak for itself. And I wanted to do that tonight, and I think I did do that tonight with Arrow, because, you know, I have a lot of fun with how much I dislike Laurel and everything, but what you got to do, because I know there's a lot of you guys out there who share my feelings about Laurel, but what you got to do is feel that way for all the right reasons. But then when the episode starts, take it and put it aside and let that episode be judged on its own merits. And that's why I felt like for the first 3/4 of the show, hey, I like what they're doing with the Laurel character. And when Laurel first shows up in the outfit, even though I thought the outfit looks ridiculous, it's like, okay, she's showing up there. She used the technology, the Sarah's technology, to do the sonic blast. Okay, let's see where they're going with this. And then they got really stupid and ridiculous with it. But we all need to go into these episodes, these Oliver-less episodes, because I think there's 2 more to go before Oliver comes back to Starling City. We've got to be honest and feel the way we feel about the characters and where certain directions of certain characters go, yes. But when the episodes start, put it aside, pick it up later, but put it aside and then just judge the episode and the characters on their own merits in that one episode. And that's what I feel like I do, and I try to do, but then they...
Well, look, it took John like almost two seasons to finally say Roy fits and Roy has a purpose. Like, it took a while. They had to massage that character too. Maybe we'll see that with Laurel. Maybe.
Yeah, oh yeah, maybe eventually. But I'm just saying, like, they're starting from such a bad. And let's the Roy character is not as important of a character in the overall arc of the Green Arrow's mythology as Black Canary.
Yep.
And I just feel like I understood when you're making adaptations, whether it's a movie or TV show, you pay attention to the source material, you honor the source material, but you don't make yourself a slave to the source material. And I believe that through 2.5 seasons, it's become apparent what we did with Laurel didn't work, and she's not the right character anymore to truly make the Black Canary. At some point, you have to be creative enough to go, we can't just be slaves to the source material. We have to work with what we got. And I think they've just botched the Laurel character. Out of all the characters, they did great. I feel like they botched the Laurel character enough that it's not enough to move forward. But that's not to say that we don't still judge each episode on its own merits and see what happens and see where we go. Well, you know what, folks? Let's get to your stuff. We want to know what you think. That's really the most important thing, is what do you think about tonight's episode of Arrow, and where do you see things going? What are some of your predictions? Tweet into us right now at #ArrowAfterShow. So, Anne, what have you picked out?
Can I just say that during the break, all three of us got some amazing tweets from you guys.
Oh, yes.
Especially the 50 million that said, Laurel's calling, my sister is dead. Those cracked us up the whole holiday break.
I got so many emails, tweets, Facebook messages. Hey, John, it's me, Laurel Lance. I want you to know my sister is dead. I mean, so many of those. It was
Hilarious.
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
But I got one because this is actually a good question, because this was also in my negatives and continues to be until Thea finds out about the Arrow Cave. And this is from Tron3712. Arrow After Show, why has Thea never gone in the Arrow Cave, given that it is located at her club? And then in this episode, Roy's like, I gotta go to the stockroom.
I think that's just kind of weird, because that one time, there's that one episode where she couldn't find her keys or the code to get in. It's just...
Oh, well.
It's just something that she's just not allowed to get
I guess I'll never know what's behind this door in this
Exactly.
building that I own.
Yeah, I just think that's weird.
That
Okay.
is kind of crazy.
All right, so Stephen D. Giampa asks, what do you think about Maceo's wife being alive in the present day? Does the League know about it?
Well, okay, there's a couple of possibilities here. Number one is she may be the reason. Look, if there's no Lazarus Pit, and I don't want to jump to the same assumption that there was a Lazarus Pit, I now don't want to assume that there's not either. But let's assume for a second that there is no Lazarus Pit. Okay, then there has to be something that gives Ra's al Ghul this eternal life, if you will.
Yeah.
This agelessness. What if she is that key? What if they know full well who she is and they keep her on the mountain and all that kind of stuff? So that's a possibility, but that's just me grasping at straws. I don't really know. Do you guys have any theories?
No, I still want to believe that the Lazarus Pit is still around. So
I'll still keep my Lazarus Pit flag around.
yeah,
I think she has a bathtub with the Lazarus Pit in there. Let's just say that.
I want to go.
Yeah, I know. Can we all take a dip? All right, so Bariqua Poppy 68 asks, how long do you think it'll take for Oliver to come back to Star City?
I think when Stephen was on the show, I think he mentioned 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling next week he won't be back in Starling City, but I have a feeling in that 3rd episode, last scene before the credits roll is, did you miss me? Or something. It'll be something like that where his face will pop back up. If not, then the very next episode. But Stephen
what is
said
that?
3 episodes, so it's probably 3 episodes.
What is that time lapse, though? Is it actually 3 days, 3 weeks? Do you think they'll jump ahead a little bit?
I think they might jump ahead a little bit to watch, Red Arrow and Diggle kind of improve, as well as Felicity. I'm not sure how they're going to be holding on together as glue, because they're kind of separating. But I also think there's going to be a kink between Ray Palmer and Oliver, because I have a feeling Felicity is going to be kind of more reliant on him, kind of trying to help him out, and then all of a sudden Oliver comes back and she's going to be kind of torn. That's the prediction I have.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then I also think it's interesting if they do any time jumps, now that they're doing these crossovers with Flash, like, how do you handle the time jumps? Is there an easy way, you know, when they do cross over again, that they're still in the same time? Those kinds of things make it interesting now that the two shows kind of intertwine. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Arrow Beastie 16 asks, also, how do you think Oliver will react to Laurel's transformation?
Same way John Campea. No, I'm just kidding.
What's with the buckles? I have to hope his reaction will be what it was before when she expressed her desire to become a crime-fighting vigilante, which will be resistance. And no, that's stupid because you're just a person running around in a wig. I mean, so I hope that's his reaction.
I have a feeling that his reaction, depending on the time lapse situation, is he's going to be somewhat proud of her for what she's trying to do, and he's going to kind of have a change of heart. Instead of just wanting to protect her, he's going to kind of allow her to be by his side. That's my prediction.
I got to bring this one up because I just saw this in here. Wyatt Manley writes, and you'll know why I'm bringing this up. Did anyone else notice how Arsenal flew?
Yes.
Like that scene happens.
Oh my gosh.
And
Did you see it?
We're watching it, and we're watching it, and Anne's like, wait, so Roy can fly? That was let's call spade a spade. You know, we talk so much on the show about how much we really think, especially in the last season and a half, they have ramped up the action, the fight choreography.
Sure.
They do such a great job of it. Tonight was a bad day at the office for them because there's that one scene where Russell's fighting that guy, and he kind of he jumps out of the pipe.
That
and
pipe.
the way it's supposed, they want you to believe is that he kicks the guy in the chest, and by kicking him in the chest, he propels himself up. It did not look right at all. Because Anne was being serious. She said, wait a minute, wait, he can fly? It's like, no, I think it was supposed to be him kicking up. Yeah.
He could fly,
look,
guys.
That was
pretty noticeable,
that was
yeah.
just a little bit of a botched fight choreography, visual effect. But you know what? They do it right so many times. We can forgive them for that. They did blow it. Let's call a spade a spade. They blew it. But they so rarely blow it that, who cares?
He flies.
He flies.
So Austin No 790 asked, do you think Roz will die by the end of the season or see some sort of truce between Team Arrow?
I definitely see more of a truce or a I'll leave them alone situation. I don't think he's going to die.
I think you nailed it. I don't think it's a truce. I think it's I'll leave them alone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I think something's going to happen. Oliver is going to ultimately find out. We will find out by the end of I still think there's something funny going on with this whole Meryln. I mind washed Thea into killing.
I agree.
I am still not buying into it. So if that's the case, I think Oliver at some point is going to find out by the end of the season who killed Sarah. I think that will satisfy Al Ghul, although I'm pretty sure Oliver will still have some kind of bone to pick with him. Hey, remember that time you drove a sword through my chest and then kicked me off a cliff? Those were good times. So there's going to be a result, but I do not see them killing Raj Al Ghul by the end. He's just too
Can't. How could they?
omnipresent
Yeah.
character. I just don't see them doing that. I
I
hope not.
totally agree with you guys. Okay, so Ben Afra B asks, what do you think of Laurel? Oh, well, we talked about Laurel in this episode. He's saying, surprised she didn't remind us her sister's dead. Okay, so you got me with that one. All right. Chris Awesome just says, Diggle wearing the hood, still no masks. We talked about that. Pretty cool. Pretty.
Yeah, and I like how Diggle. Look, Diggle. He's Diggle, man. He's just too cool. He don't need no mask, and he don't need
he's cool.
a costume. He's Diggle, and I love you pointed it out. You know, I like the fact that he tried it to make it look like Arrow's in town. Look, I can't move in this ridiculous thing. And that's Diggle, man. Just give me my Glock.
Yeah.
I'm a soldier, man. Let me go do my thing. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Diggle doing his thing. But I will say, it still does feel funny when Arrow and Arsenal and Diggle, the trio of them, are going off on a mission, and the three of them dive behind like a pipe because they're in a gunfight. And like you got these two guys dressed up masked superheroes, and then Diggle just in his turtleneck and his leather jacket.
It's not really for me. It's like not even the identity anymore, right? Like everyone knows who Diggle is, but it's the fact that they know who Diggle hangs out with.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, you were Oliver Queen's bodyguard. We saw him in all this, and now you're hanging out with this Green Arrow fellow. But here's the other thing. This is the thing. Him not wearing a costume does not make him look silly.
No.
What him not wearing the costume does is suddenly makes Arrow and Arsenal look a little silly being in costume next to him. So I don't know. I hope they figure out some way around that without betraying the who Diggle really is. All right, let's take two more.
Okay, so James Hudson 112 asks, what did you think of the Atom suit so far?
Well, all we saw really was the glove.
Saw
Yeah, I
the
mean,
little
it's
power
cool.
glove
You know,
Well, and then we saw the holographic projection of it, which I thought was damn cool.
and the chip, the little chip.
The little chip. So it's slow burn, like you said.
they're just
doing
teasing us each
yeah,
time.
very, very slow burn, like a hot girl on a first date. Just real slow burn. Anyway.
And did you guys notice how they said, let's start small? Which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Easter
was
egg
good.
to the Atom.
Let's start small.
I think that's it actually for the questions. A lot of Laurel stuff too.
Yeah,
Which
we
I don't want to really.
Yeah,
cover.
no, neither do
Yeah,
we.
let's not do
Well,
that.
hey, we've gone a little bit over time, but that's cool. Hey, guys, listen, don't forget, you can keep tweeting to us using this hashtag #ArrowAfterShow all week because we look in our Twitter feed the whole time, and we really appreciate your interaction. We love reading your responses and your tweets. That's really cool. Don't forget, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Stream.TV After Show Network. We'll be back here again next week, and make sure that you guys are here as well, joining with us. I want to thank, first of all, the ladies who are joining me. Sitting over here, Miss Ann Campea. Ann, where can people find you online?
You guys can follow me at Ann Campea as well as Kaori and I at Team Amazing.
And speaking of which, over here is Kaori Takee. Kaori, where can people find you?
That's right. Follow us at Team Amazing, and you can find me KAORIOUS.
And you can follow me on all the various social interweb places, like on the Twitters and the Facebooks. You can just find me and locate me just at John Campea. So that'll do it for us for the Arrow After Show. So glad the show is back on again, and we are so glad that you guys decided to join us tonight. So we'll be back again next time, and until then, bye-bye.